Hello, welcome to my home. Come on in.
Thank you.
I'm so happy you're here. It's great to see you. And I got to tell you, I'm so proud to be part of the Women's Forum and to share a little slice of my life with you. I think I want to start with the most important part of my life, which is really my dad. You know, he's sort of guarding the doorway of my home for a reason. When I was 13 years old, he passed away. He was killed in a motorcycle accident on the Williamsburg Bridge in Brooklyn. And because he left us so early in 1980 when I was 13, you know, he's sort of the guardian of my home, but he also inspired my journey to learn more about my family history. And I found out my dad, who was a paratrooper during the Vietnam era, had an amazing legacy. I'm excited to tell you all about it.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to have you here. Come on in. This is my living room. And many of my friends, they come over and they say, your living room reminds us of an intimate museum. That's because I have a lot of things here that are very meaningful to me, especially this corner. Like I was telling you about my dad, he didn't know that we were the great-great-great-grandchildren of a Civil War veteran. No one knew about Sandy Wills. Can you imagine? That's why I'm so excited to tell all of you, my friends at the Women's Forum, about this. So this is actually the honorable discharge of an enslaved man from Tennessee, the same neighborhood where my dad was born, by the way, the same plantation, by the way. And he ran away from the Wills plantation in 1863, smack in the middle of the Civil War, and enlisted in the United States Colored Troops. And here's his name on the National Wall in Washington, the African American Civil War Memorial. And I remember when I found his name, I said, where is he? Where is he buried? No one knew where he was buried for 130 years. Just this past August 2024, I hired an archaeology team and we found him. This is the flag that was on his coffin. So I am just so proud of this corner because, as you can see here, this is what it was like when I first went to where he was. No marker, no nothing. I was just looking out at acres and acres of land, and I wondered where he could be. I had a very strong feeling he was buried somewhere on that land, and I was right. So this is my historical corner that I'm so proud of, and I'm so proud to share this slice of my life with all of my colleagues in the Women's Forum. And I'm also proud of my career as a journalist for 35 years. I've been honored to win several Emmys. And, you know, these are not easy to get, let me tell you. This is a very competitive contest among journalists. And it's an honor to have won several of these, having worked for Spectrum News, New York One. Now almost 35 years, 33, let's not push it, right? 33 years. And I'm really proud of that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I had a few questions for you.
Yeah.
How has your home served as a sanctuary or creative space during your career?
Yeah, that's a great question because this is truly my sanctuary. I'll be honest with you. This is my safe space. I've lived here for almost 30 years, right? And even though I work in Manhattan, this is the bedroom community in Long Island. And this is my creative space as well. This is where I've written 5 books. This is where my creative juices get flowing. You know, I love color. I love the color gold. I love pops of color. And I just always wanted to live in a home where I would feel safe and could express myself and my creativity. Like this is my fireplace with some of the awards that I really cherish. this is an award from the Department of the Army. You talk about creative, the U.S. Army saluted me for as Commander's Award for Public Service. That's all connected to my creative work, going to schools, going to veterans organizations, and sharing this empowering story. And I was really honored to receive this from Jewish organizations, JCRC. It was a whole group of Jewish organizations, including from Israel, in honor of peace, in honor of responsible reporting, bringing people together. This is all part of my creative juice, you know what I mean? And this is my family. We're a small family. I have one son, one husband. We've been married 30 years. And that's my bouquet of money, which I really love. That's the best bouquet you could possibly get, a bouquet full of money. I'm so grateful to our dear friends for giving that to me. And this is my father-in-law's honorable discharge from the U.S. Navy. We come from a long line of veterans, and he was in a segregated unit during World War II, John Singleton Sr., and he was so hurt by it all that he didn't want to be buried in a military cemetery. And that kind of shows you just how painful segregation was to so many of our veterans, that when it was over, they really just wanted to move on. And in terms of creative spark, I also get it from my grandpa. So I come from a long line of creative people, okay? So my grandpa played this guitar in church, and he was so talented. And my grandma played the piano, his wife, and he played this guitar. And I come from a long line. Did you notice the picture when you came in? That was my dad holding a guitar. Well, he got it from this is the last guitar my grandpa had. And so, I keep this here as a reminder to always keep those creative juices flowing. When you play an instrument, or in my case, I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, you got to keep practicing, you got to keep moving. So I'm really proud of the space I created that really invites that creative spark.
How do you create a balance between the demands of your career and the tranquility of your home?
Yeah, and I think this is a tranquil home. I hope you felt that when you came
Absolutely.
in here. Yeah, some homes have energy, and it doesn't lie. I've walked into homes where I've been like, whoa, something's going on in here. But I try to keep my home very tranquil. And the way I maintain the balance is you have to know when to carve out time for yourself. And I think that's a message I'd like to share with all of my colleagues in the Women's Forum, because we're all high level, thinkers. We're busy all the time. You have to carve out time for yourself. You have to say no sometimes. And I will say no sometimes. People call me to host events, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, I can't do it this time. Because I'll know when I'm reaching my breaking point, and you can't overdo it, especially when you're of a certain age. You have to carve out time for yourself, your sanity. You have to have quiet time, and you have to meditate, or it will take you over. And so I never allow things to become out of my reach. Like today, I'm not working because I wanted to do this wonderful interview for the Women's Forum, and then I'm going out to an event, and I'm done. I wasn't going to try to kill myself and work tonight. I do a live show every night. I was like, nope, not doing it. I'll be there tomorrow. So I think it's really compartmentalizing and just really being disciplined about your personal time and space. You can't always say yes. You can't always say yes. I know it's wonderful to be wanted and for people to call and say, hey, can you come? Sometimes you have to say no. So that's how I maintain the tranquility of my home. Sometimes I just say no.
I have a lot of questions about some of the artwork that I'm seeing that's hanging and on your door here.
Yes.
And
let's walk over. This is a quilt that I'm so proud of. This was given to me by two distinguished educators, Dr. Jerry Baker, Dr. Audrey Baker. And this quilt is reminiscent of how enslaved people, of which I'm a descendant, quilts would be lined along escape routes. And there were messages in the way they were crafted. They would know, based on the quilt, okay, we're getting close to a safe space, a safe house. And so this quilt pays homage to that. And it has my family legacy on it. The first book I ever wrote, Die Free, which is about my family's transition from slavery to freedom, as well as census records showing where my family lived during slavery, and most importantly, images of my relatives. You'll notice there are many men playing guitars on this quilt. My grandfather playing guitar, my uncle, my father and his brother, and then there's baby pictures of me. So this is something I'm super, super proud of. And every time I open the door, it's like I'm letting the ancestors in. Yeah.
I love that. And it's definitely, when you talk about what you feel in someone's home, I feel nothing but legacy. I feel your family. I feel a lot of love.
Yes.
I just wanted
to
say that.
Thank you, Nadja.
So outside of this, this beautiful piece here on your door, are there any other objects or photos or memorabilia in your home that inspires you or grounds you?
Yes. So I'm really proud of this picture. I have one child, my one and only. I'll say to my son sometimes, Johnny, you're my favorite son. And he always says, I'm your only son. That's our little gag back and forth. And, I always wanted a mother-son photo because I knew it was just going to be me and him. And he grew so fast. Like, he was this little sponge for the longest time. And I always thought, it just shows you how quickly time goes. I said, okay, I'm going to do a photo with me and my son as a baby. Look at him. He grew that fast. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, Johnny, we have to do this picture like tomorrow. Here he is in a shirt, and he's about 4 years old there. But I'm so glad that we took the time to do the mother and son picture. So this is my most priceless piece of art, and I wanted it in a very special frame because he's now 27. And he was born in 1998. I mean, where did the time go?
Wow. Has your home ever doubled as a workspace for your career? And how did you make that work?
Yes. So during the pandemic, my favorite story, this is out of place. For many years, I didn't have a television in my living room because I think this should be a space where you have conversation and you look in someone's face when, not having to have the distraction of a TV. Well, during the pandemic, this living room became a studio, a legit television studio. And this served as my background. All of the furniture had to be moved into that room, and the camera and tripod were over there. And I had a chair here, and I would report the news via satellite to millions of people for 8 months during the pandemic. So that is a time that I will never forget. I never in a million years thought I would ever do the news out of this house. And one of the problems we had was when the lawnmower, when the guys came to cut the lawn, I would have to run out and say, no, not now, because I'm about to go live. So this is an incredible journey. And something keeps telling me, I always want to take this TV down, and something tells me, don't take it down. So I don't know what that means, but it's kind of stuck. I'm going to take it down one day, but I think I'm going to wait a while.
Has working from home at all influenced your perspective on your profession?
Yeah. Initially, that's a great question, Nadja. Initially, I was like, yay, I'm going to be home. I don't have to, I would sit with my jacket and a blouse and pajama bottoms and slippers because I knew no one would see me from the hip down. But then I started to get bored here. I didn't have any interaction with anyone. And technology would fail, and it was on me. Like when I'm at work, I could go, hey, Roy, my computer. Hey, John, can you help me? No one's here. I mean, when my husband and son, my son went back to college, my husband went back to work, it was just me. And that's when I really appreciated the collaboration of all of your colleagues and working with a team, because that solitary thing that was going on here, that's when it started to get to me. And I actually requested to go back in the fall. Like I said, hey, can I come back? Because now this is a little overwhelming that I'm here by myself. So it was exciting doing it from home, saving money on travel and food for a while. But then it started to get to me. So there's nothing like working with a team every day.
Have your experiences traveling for work or covering stories influenced your home's decor or ambiance?
Absolutely. Travel. I've been to Africa. This is actually, I don't know how I missed this. So when I went to Africa, the guitar is an African instrument. And when I went to Senegal, I was really touched when I saw so many craftsmen making guitars. And I brought this back. It was not easy getting this on the plane, but I said, this is a must, because so many men in my family played the guitar. I said, how wonderful. And this is an African village at the base of it, which I just found so touching, because one thing about slavery, it really separated us from the legacy of Africa, those of us who are African Americans. Like, we didn't know anything about Africa, to my tremendous regret. But we're making up for lost time. And so I bought this guitar in honor of my father and grandfather, to show that, what the instrument they loved, there was a legacy to it across the Atlantic.
Can you speak to some of the artwork? I love these two pieces here,
Oh,
this
yes.
one. And
so I love African art. I actually bought this from the New York Historical Society in Manhattan. And this is by an incredible artist known as Annie's Girls. And I love this so much. I literally could have bought 10 of these. I had to stop myself. So I only bought 2. But I just think these are so adorable. And to have the twin girls, their bookends, I look at them every day. I love that, just the work, the craftsmanship of these dolls. And I love collecting African-inspired art, especially dolls, because I grew up playing with dolls, but there were no dolls that looked like me when I was a kid. I'm a kid of the 60s, okay? I'm not ashamed to say it. So to have these dolls means everything. So yes, I am 58 years old and I still play with dolls. Thank you, Annie's Dolls.
And I'd love to learn more about when this photo, can you tell me some more background on when this photo was taken?
Sure. So this photo actually has tremendous meaning to me. This photo actually has tremendous meaning. This is when I spoke at the United Nations. And I spoke at the United Nations, which was a huge deal, for their transatlantic slave trade commemoration, which happens every spring. And I had just written my book, Die Free. And I was invited to stand before world leaders and speak about my family's transition from slavery to freedom. And my grandfather, Sandy Wills' fight for freedom as a soldier during the Civil War. And this was monumental. I have this here because I don't ever, ever, ever want to forget this moment. This was a moment that my family could have never imagined. I was raised in public housing in New York City. I come from very humble beginnings. And to stand on a stage where kings and queens and presidents and prime ministers stand was a huge, huge honor. So that's why that picture is there. I never want to forget that moment.
Beautiful. And I'd love to visit another part of
Yeah.
wherever you'd like to take us.
Yeah, sure. So I'm really into legacy, and this is a picture by a famous artist. His last name is Frost. And he made this for me on the spot, a limited edition. And this is a slave ship where he depicted every person. And I was amazed at how quickly he did this right in front of me. And I had it framed. And this is a focal point here in my home because this is how my family got here. And it's tragic. It is one of the most horrific chapters in global history. Africans jammed onto ships and taken from their homes against their will to the so-called New World. North America, the Caribbean, and South America, frankly. The triangle trade made all the stops. And this is a reminder, again, every time I walk in my home, I never want to forget these precious souls. And another precious soul, you notice I'm really into legacy. I'm really proud of my dad. This is his fire hat. That's why my friends say, your home is like an intimate museum. Why put this in a box? I want everyone to see this. I want to be reminded. And by the way, I have this in my dining room because when we have family gatherings, I feel like my father's here. He literally wore this on his head for 10 years. And he worked for Engine One in Midtown Manhattan, right around the corner from Madison Square Garden. And, I'm really proud of his service to New York City. And again, he was a blue-collar worker. And he fought fires and walked into burning buildings. And now I feel a little like a first responder, too, because I report on burning buildings. I don't walk into them. But, I'm very proud of him. And I'm sorry that his life was cut short. But thanks to this fire hat, he's always here.
Can you speak to some of these awards, these plaques that I see?
Yes, and through the years, I'm so honored to have been given awards. I cherish every one of them. I know it seems like a lot, but I am truly grateful when someone says, Cheryl, thank you for your public service. Thank you for speaking to children. Thank you for sowing seeds into young people who may have lost hope. Thank you for presenting yourself as a role model. I think that's really important because when I was a kid, I didn't see many role models. I didn't see many people who had graduated from college and had made success stories they didn't come back to the projects. I didn't see them, And so people have been very wonderful in honoring me for the work, and I pay it forward. This is a reminder that there's more work to do. So for all of the awards, including this from the U.S. Attorney's Office, from different organizations, the NYPD, so many, I'm truly grateful. I'm truly grateful.
And can you tell me about the plaque right here that shows an image of Dr. Martin Luther King?
And this was wonderful because this gentleman actually just passed away. His name was Julius Pierce. He was president of the African American Museum here in Long Island. And he literally just passed away. And he gave me this Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Birthday Celebration President's Appreciation Award in honor of your contributions. And 2012, and I was so honored to receive this. This is from the Police Guardians Association. This one is from the Tribune Society. These are all the for New York courts throughout New York. And this is very meaningful to me. There's nothing like when someone says, job well done. Job well done. So I cherish these plaques, and I'm just so happy that I've been able to make a difference in the lives of young people especially.
Thank you. Can you tell us some more about some of the interesting figurines here and even
Yeah,
photos?
yeah. So let me see. What am I going to pull out of here? So inside this, I love collecting figurines. And I'm very proud of my son. My son graduated from High Point University, and we keep his degree there. That's his master's degree, and below is his bachelor's degree. And, you know, I'm really proud of him because, you know, again, there was a time African Americans were not allowed to be educated. Not allowed. I'm a graduate of Syracuse University. My husband's a graduate of Georgetown University. And it means a lot that we were able to realize the dream, Dr. King's dream, of being educated, of going for the gold, of being able to have opportunity. And that's why we have to really fight to preserve it now, because there is an attack on literally diversity, literally, and it's from the federal government. So we have to continue to amplify the good work of people who fought for diversity and keep the door open. So I'm really proud of my son and all of his accomplishments. And within, you know, you'll see more figurines that I love to collect. One thing I do collect is Obama figurines. Obama, thankfully, is still with us, but I think because he's still here, people don't realize how much of a powerful figure he will be in American history forever as the first black president. So I literally collect almost everything there is with Obama. So this is a certified Danbury Mint figurine of President Obama and the First Lady from their inauguration. And I know this is priceless. But we see them all the time. So people kind of take them for granted. But whenever you look at a roster of all of the American presidents, they're all white men except him. And we know that. But I think until we move further away from it, I don't think people fully realize just how important his legacy is. So I am a collector of Obama figurines because he is a big part of American history.